Here's your word for the day from Calvary in Lake Havasu. Visit us on the web at calvaryaz.com.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Your Word for the Day from Calvary. It's good to have you here. Today, we are looking at Mark chapter 5, a bit of a part 2. And so if you missed yesterday's episode, go watch that. Or you can read Mark 5, 1 through 13 to catch up on what we're talking about. As we're catching up in a story where Jesus heals a man possessed by a legion of demons. There's some pigs involved. There's a cemetery, lack of clothing. There's a lot going on. You're going to want to go hear this. So I'm going to pick up in the aftermath because Jesus has healed this person. There's been this miraculous moment. And now we get to look at, okay, what happens next? And I want to read a few verses. Verse 15 through the end of the section says this. And it says, they, the people from the town, came to Jesus and saw this demon-possessed man, the one who had the legion, sitting there, catch this, clothed and in his right mind. Both of those are a change. And they were afraid. They see this and they're in fear. We'll come back to that. Verse 17, they began to beg Jesus to depart from the region. And as he's sitting by the boat, the man who had been possessed with the demons begged him that he might be with him. Verse 19, but he did not permit him, but said to him, go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. That's amazing. The story is incredible. The aftermath is interesting, though, because you have these two situations that are a little mind-boggling at first. The people, they respond in fear and by begging Jesus to leave. Why? Shouldn't they be excited that Jesus healed this man, that their fellow community member, family member, friend of friend, acquaintance, is restored and is healthy again? Shouldn't they be excited? And I think what we see there is if we're not willing to admit that Jesus is Lord, his power is not something we want in our life. And maybe you've experienced that at different points in your journey of following Jesus. Maybe you know some people, they go, I don't want prayer or any Jesus talk around me, because if we don't want to admit he's Lord, his power isn't something we want around us. And that's what we see with this community. But then even more peculiar, this man, it says, begged Jesus that he might be with him. But Jesus didn't let him. He says, no, go home instead. Why? It's one of the few instances where Jesus didn't allow people to follow him. And there's a lot of theories on why that is. Some think that the man wanted to be one of the 12 disciples, and Jesus is essentially saying, no, my roster is already established, we're good. Some maybe think that it's because he was a Gentile and it would mess up some of the logistics of what Jesus would need to do in Jewish-only areas and categories. Obviously, Jesus tore down those boundaries, but that was still in place. But I think the answer is much simpler. And that is that Jesus knew this man had more power of testimony in his community than he would in someone else's. Because these people knew him, they knew his background, they knew his life before Jesus, and he was able to provide a very clear before and after as he walked into stores and marketplaces and people's homes, clothed and in his right mind, and was able to proclaim the goodness of Jesus to them. Which brings it to us. Often we think that if we're going to be a missionary for Jesus, that we have to go to another country and learn another language and be one with them. And Jesus is saying, no, you can do that in your own community, with your friends, your coworkers, your family members, by letting Jesus change your life and by letting your life display the before and after of what Jesus has done for you. You can allow people to marvel at the power of Jesus with your own life by not going anywhere and just living transparently of what God has done in your life. I hope that you'll do that. Have a great day, Calvary.